The next sutta is 6.5.45. The Buddha said, "Monks, is poverty a woeful thing for an immoral, worldly person?" "Surely, Lord," a monk replied. And when a man is poor, needy, in straits, he gets into debt, is that woeful too? "Surely, Lord." And when he gets into debt, he borrows, is that woeful too? "Surely, Lord." And when the bill falls due, he pays not, and they press him, is that woeful too? "Surely, Lord." And when pressed, he pays not, and they beset him, is that woeful too? "Surely, Lord." And when beset, he pays not, and they bind him, tie him up, is that woeful too? "Surely, Lord." Thus monks, poverty, debt, borrowing, being pressed, beset, and bound are all woes for an immoral, worldly person. Monks, it is just the same for anyone who has no faith in wholesome states or skillful states, is not conscientious about wholesome states, has no fear of blame about wholesome states, no energy for wholesome states, no insight into wholesome states. He is said to be poor, needy, in straits in the Aryan discipline. Now that very man, poor, needy, in straits, wanting in faith, conscientiousness, fear of blame, energy and insight concerning wholesome states, works evilly in deed, word and thought. I call that his getting into debt, and to cloak his evil deeds he lays hold upon false hope. Let none know this of me, he hopes. Let none know this of me, he resolves. Let none know this of me, he says. Let none know this of me, he strives in act. So likewise, cloak his evil words, his evil thoughts. I call that his borrowing. Then his pious fellows in the holy life say thus, "This venerable sir acts in this sort, carries on in this way." I call that his being pressed. Then gone to forest, tree root or lonely place, evil unwholesome thoughts and attendant remorse pursue him. I call that his being beset. And that man, monks, poor, needy, in straits, having worked evilly in deed, word and thought, on the breaking up of the body after death, is bound in hell's bonds, or the bonds of some animal's womb. And I see no other single bondage, monks, so harsh, so bitter, such a bar to winning the unsurpassed peace from effort. I mean hell's bonds, or the bonds of an animal's womb. That's the end of the sutta. So the Buddha is saying, just as a poor man, because he is poor, he gets into debt, and then he is being chased by the debtors for payment, and he cannot pay them, and they tie him up, and then he is in a very sorrowful condition. So in the same way, the Buddha said, if a person does not know about wholesome states, cannot differentiate between wholesome and unwholesome states, that means he does not understand the law of karma, then he is also like that poor man, and he tries to hide his evil actions, and then other people criticize him, then he's being pressed, being beset, and even his thoughts, unwholesome thoughts, and thoughts of remorse pursue him, and that person after death is born into the woeful plains. Now the woeful plains are three. The hell is the worst. The second is the animal realm, and the third is the ghost realm. But here the Buddha says, I see no other single bondage, monks, so harsh, so bitter, such a bar to winning the unsurpassed peace from effort as hell's bonds or the bonds of an animal's womb. Here the Buddha is saying that when a person falls into hell or into the animal realm, that person stays there for a very long time. And because that person has no chance of creating good merit, it's very difficult to get out from that two states, hell and the animal womb. And that person stays there for a very long time until the karma most of that evil karma is worked out. Then only that person comes up. The next sutta is 6.5.46. Thus have I heard, once the Venerable Mahachunda lived among the Chetis at Sahajati, and there he spoke to the monks, saying, "Monks, reverend sirs." "Reverend sir," they rejoined, and the Venerable Mahachunda said, "There are some monks, Dhamma zealots, who blame meditators, saying, 'These fellows say, we are meditators, we are meditators.' They meditate and are meditated. And what do they meditate about? What's good of their meditating? How do they meditate? Thereat neither the Dhamma zealots nor the meditator monks are pleased, nor have they fared onwards for the weal of many folk, for their happiness, their good, nor for the weal and happiness of devas and men." I'll just stop here for a while. Here, the Venerable Mahachunda is saying that there are some monks who are what we call scholar monks, and they criticize meditator monks. And here the word meditator is Jayino or Jayina, and to meditate is Jayati or Jayanti. Actually, this word Jayati or Jayanti literally means to burn. To burn, and another meaning is bright, incandescence. And that is the word that is used for jhana. Jhana is a state where the mind becomes one-pointed and the mind becomes bright. So in the early days of the Buddha or Buddhism, during the Buddha's time, meditation was synonymous to cultivating jhana. That is why the word jayati is actually means to cultivate jhana. That is why from this we can understand why the early stages of Buddhism in China, they had this meditation school which was called the Chanzhong. Chanzhong is the Zen school, and this Chan, the Chinese word Chan, comes from the word Chan No. It's a abbreviation of Chan No, and Chan No is the Pali word jhana. So in early stages of Buddhism, meditation is plainly synonymous with cultivating jhana. And to continue, Mahachunda said, "And there are some monks, meditators, who blame Dhamma zealots, saying, 'These fellows say, we are Dhamma zealots, we are Dhamma zealots.' They are puffed up, proud, excitable fellows, mouthy speechifiers, forgetful of mindfulness, lacking self-possession and composure, with their thoughts a wonder and their senses uncontrolled. And what is their Dhamma zeal? What goods their Dhamma zeal? How are they zealous in Dhamma? There too, neither the meditators nor the Dhamma zealots are pleased, nor have they fared onwards for the weal of many folk. And there are some Dhamma zealots who just praise Dhamma zealots, who praise not meditators. There too, neither Dhamma zealots nor meditators are pleased. And so neither are pleased, nor have they fared onwards for the weal of many folk, for their happiness, their good, for the weal and happiness of devas and men. Wherefore, sirs, you should train yourselves thus. Being Dhamma zealots, we will praise meditators. Thus should you train yourselves, reverend sirs. And why? Verily, sirs, these wondrous persons are hardly found in the world, they who live with their whole being in tune with the deathless. And you should train yourselves thus, reverend sirs. Being meditators, we will praise Dhamma zealots. Thus should you train yourselves, reverend sirs. And why? Verily, sirs, these wondrous persons are hardly found in the world, they who with insight penetrate and see the deep way of the goal. That's the end of the sutta. In this sutta you find the scholar monks blaming criticizing the meditator monks, and the meditator monks sometimes criticize the scholarly monks. But if a monk is a well-developed monk, he should both be a scholar monk as well as a meditator monk. You can see many of the Buddha's arahants, they knew the suttas very well, and yet they were good in their meditation, so that they became arahants. So now, since time immemorial, people have been criticizing each other. Even the Buddha was criticized by external sect ascetics, and the Buddha also criticized external sect ascetics. But in the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha taught that we should criticize wrong teachings in order to point out the true teachings. However, we should not get personal. So we should criticize wrong teachings to point out the true teachings, but we should not get personal and criticize persons, only the teachings. Because if we get personal, then anger arises and unwholesome states of mind arise. And there will be a lot of problems in the Sangha. Now we come to the next sutta, 6.5.49. Once, when the Exalted One was dwelling near Savatthi at Jeta Grove in Anathapindika's park, the Venerable Kema and the Venerable Sumana dwelt in Anda Grove near Savatthi, and they went and visited the Exalted One, saluted him and sat down at one side. So seated, the Venerable Kema said to him, Lord, whatsoever monk is arahant, has destroyed the asavas, lived the life, done what ought to be done, set down the burden, found the highest goal, destroyed becoming's bonds, and is in high knowledge released. To him there comes no thought, there is one better than I, nor there is one equal, nor there is one worse. Thus spoke the Venerable Kema, and the Master approved. And seeing that, the Venerable Kema got up, saluted the Exalted One, and took his departure, passing him by on the right. Now not long after he had gone, the Venerable Sumana said this to the Exalted One, Lord, whatsoever monk is arahant, has destroyed the asavas, lived the life, done what ought to be done, set down the burden, found the highest gain, destroyed becoming's bonds, and is in high knowledge released. To him there comes no thought, there is none better than I, nor there is none equal, nor there is none worse. Thus spoke the Venerable Sumana, and the Master approved. And seeing that, the Venerable Sumana got up, saluted, and took his departure, passing by on the right. And shortly after they had gone, the Exalted One addressed the monks, saying, Thus monks do clansmen declare knowledge. The goal is told, but self is not mentioned. Yet there are some foolish fellows here who declare knowledge braggingly, it seems. Afterwards they suffer remorse. That's the end of the sutta. This sutta shows how the monks and nuns during the Buddha's time, when they attained arahanthood, how they came and declared to the teacher, the Buddha, that they had attained arahanthood, but in an indirect way. They did not say that I attained arahanthood. And nowadays we see some people who learn some meditation, and after a while they're very eager to let others know that they have become Arya. And this shows that they have not attained Aryahood, especially if they get angry when others don't believe that they have attained Sotapanna or Sakadagami. And this ego is just makes it obvious that that person has not attained. Now we come to the next sutta, 6.5.51. Now the Venerable Ananda visited the Venerable Sariputta, greeted him, and after exchanging the usual polite talk, sat down at one side. So seated, the Venerable Ananda said this to the Venerable Sariputta, How, Venerable Sariputta, may a monk learn new doctrine, and doctrines learned remain unconfused, and old doctrines to which previously he was mentally attuned remain in use, and he get to know something not known. The Venerable Ananda is very learned. Let the Venerable Ananda illuminate this. And the Venerable Ananda said, Well then, Reverend Sariputta, listen, pay good heed, and I will speak. Yes, sir, he rejoined. And the Venerable Ananda said, Consider, Reverend Sariputta, a monk who masters Dhamma. As learnt, as mastered, he teaches others Dhamma in detail. As learnt, as mastered, he makes others say it in detail. As learnt, as mastered, he makes others repeat it in detail. As learnt, as mastered, he ever reflects, ever ponders over it in his mind. Mindfully he pores on it. Wheresoever abide elders, learned in traditional knowledge, Dhamma-minders, Vinaya-minders, epitomes, there he spends vasa, the rain season's retreat, and visiting them from time to time, questions and inquires of them. This talk, sir, what verily is its aim? And their reverences disclose the undisclosed, make as it were a causeway where there is none, drive away doubt concerning many perplexing things. In this way, Reverend Sariputta, a monk may learn new doctrine, and doctrines learned remain unconfused. Old doctrines to which previously he was mentally attuned remain in use, and he gets to know something not known. Excellent, amazing, Reverend Sir, is all this that has been so well said by the Venerable Ananda. We will mind that the Venerable One is endowed with these 6 things. The Venerable Ananda masters Dhamma. The Venerable Ananda teaches others Dhamma in detail, as learnt, as mastered. The Venerable Ananda makes others say it. The Venerable Ananda makes others repeat it. The Venerable Ananda reflects, ponders, pores on it. Wheresoever learned elders abide, there the Venerable Ananda spends vasa, and he questions them. This talk, sir, what is its aim? And they disclose the undisclosed, make a causeway where there is none, drive away doubt concerning many perplexing things. That's the end of the sutta. There's another sutta which shows the wisdom of Venerable Ananda. And at that time, the Venerable Ananda was only a Sotapanna, while the Venerable Sariputta was already an Arahant. And yet, Venerable Ananda still has 1 or 2 things that he could teach to an Arahant. And it's not that the Venerable Sutta is less wise, because the Venerable Sariputta is said to be the highest in wisdom. But as we learnt in one of the earlier suttas, the Buddha said it is hard to find somebody equal in wisdom to the Venerable Ananda. The Venerable Ananda was said to be the top as far as the most learned as far as the suttas, the teachings of the Buddha are concerned. He could memorize, he could remember all the suttas taught by the Buddha. And this sutta, there are 6 things that are said to be good for a monk to practice. First, to master Dhamma, to teach others Dhamma in detail, to make others say it in detail, to make others repeat it in detail, to ever ponder over it, and to spend vasa where there are learned monks. The next sutta is 6.5.53. Then another Brahmin visited the Exalted One, greeted him, exchanged compliments, and sat down at one side. So seated, he said, Master Gotama, is there one thing which, when made to increase, embraces and establishes 2 wheels, wheel here and wheel hereafter? There is, Brahmin. What is it, Master Gotama? Verily, earnestness, Brahmin, is the one thing which, when made to increase, embraces and establishes 2 wheels, wheel here and wheel hereafter. Brahmin, as the footmarks of all prowling creatures are admitted in an elephant's, and the elephant's foot is counted chief, so earnestness is the one thing which, when made to increase, embraces and establishes 2 wheels, wheel here and wheel hereafter. As all rafters in a peaked house reach to the peak, slope to the peak, unite in the peak, and the peak is counted chief, so earnestness, Brahmin, is the one thing which, when made to increase, embraces and establishes 2 wheels, wheel here and wheel hereafter. As the light of the stars is not worth a 16th part, the light of the moon, and the light of the moon is counted chief, so earnestness, Brahmin, is the one thing which, when made to increase, embraces and establishes 2 wheels, wheel here and wheel hereafter. As the end of the sutta. This word earnestness is the Pali word apamada, sometimes translated as diligence or sincerity, and it means doing what needs to be done. In the spiritual path, one has to be careful with half measures, that is compromising. That means not being earnest or sincere enough. For example, some persons want to practice the holy life and also want to get married. And if they do get married, this shows a lack of earnestness, and that person ends up being neither successful in the spiritual path or neither does he become a good husband or a good father. If we are earnest or sincere, we obtain happiness in this life and happiness hereafter. And we should note that when we practice the spiritual path correctly, we should be happy, not sad, not as some people who think that because they are contemplating dukkha all the time, they should be full of dukkha. But in the Dhammacettiya Sutta, in the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 89, King Pasenadi Kosala came to visit the Buddha and kissed his feet. This is an Indian custom which you find also in Sri Lanka, where lay people kiss the monks' feet. And the Buddha said asked the king, why did he pay so much homage to this body? And the king started to praise the Buddha, all the qualities of the Buddha, and also the monks under the Buddha. And the king said that whereas in other external ascetics, you could see that they were lean and wretched looking very miserable and unhappy, whereas the monks under the Buddha, they looked very happy and exceedingly happy and joyful. And so we should know that if we practice the holy path and we obtain the bliss of renunciation, the happiness of renunciation, we should be happy and looking happy. And the next sutta is 6.5.54. Now Brahmin Janusoni approached the Exalted One, greeted him, and after exchanging the usual polite talk, sat down at one side. So seated, he said, Master Gotama, what's a noble's aim? What's his quest? What's his resolve? What's his want? What's his ideal? I'll just stop here for a moment to explain. This noble is a member of the warrior caste. In Pali it's Khattiya, in Sanskrit it's Kshatriya, one of the 4 castes in India. Now the sutta continues. Brahmin, wealth's a noble's aim, wisdom's his quest, power's his resolve, the earth's his want, dominion's his ideal. And the Brahmin asked again, and a Brahmin's, Master Gotama, what's his aim, his quest, etc.? And the Buddha said, wealth's his aim, wisdom's his quest, mantras are his resolve, sacrifices his want, Brahma world is his ideal. Again the Brahmin asked, and a householder's, what's his aim, his quest, etc., Master Gotama? And the Buddha said, wealth's his aim, wisdom's his quest, crafts his resolve, work's his want, work's end is his ideal. Again the Brahmin asked, and a woman's, Master Gotama, what's her aim, her quest, etc.? The Buddha said, man's her aim, adornment's her quest, a son's her resolve, to be without a rival is her want, dominion is her ideal. And a thief's aim, a thief's quest, etc., Master Gotama. Booty's his aim, captures his quest, a caravan's his resolve, darkness is his want, not to be seen is his ideal. And a recluse, Master Gotama, what's his aim, his quest, etc.? Patience and forbearance are his aim, wisdom's his quest, virtue's his resolve, nothing is his want, nibbana is his ideal. Wonderful, wonderful Master Gotama. Verily, Master Gotama knows the aim, the quest, the resolve, the want, the ideal of nobles, of Brahmins, householders, women, thieves and recluses. This is indeed wonderful Master Gotama. And so the Brahmin took refuge in the Buddha and said that from henceforth till life ends, I will go to the Master Gotama for help. And that's the end of the sutta. This is an interesting sutta. It shows the witness of the Buddha, the ability of the Buddha to answer questions. And you can see the answers he gave are quite interesting. As far as monks are concerned, the things mentioned by the Buddha are of interest to a monk. Patience and forbearance are a monk's aim. Wisdom's a monk's quest. Virtue is his resolve. Nothing is his want. And Nibbana is his ideal.